This is a story of the history of Central Australia. It's the Toolache rocks. And the target in those Toolache rocks is the gas, which is painted red here, that sits between the purple sand grains. And as you go down the river, these pebbles or sand grains get rounder and rounder. Sometimes there's not sufficient water for it to make all the way to the Great Bight, and it just stops and goes into the old inland sea. Other times the river keeps going, and it forms its own little mini deltas. And then in front of the delta comes a silt with smaller, rounder grains. And when you get to deeper water and it's not flowing as fast, the clay floats out and they're the smallest grains. And if you look here, you'll see the grains are floating over the top of the old 3 billion year old Central Australian rocks. Little boomerang shaped things, which are the billabongs, with a little fine clay in it. So if you can imagine the river floods, leaves all these levee banks there, and the current gets slower and slower till you're just left with these with water, with floating mud in it, and then the mud settles to the bottom. Yellow comes up to meet you, and it's warm, and it's light, so it comes up to meet you. So because it sits on the top of everything, I've used yellow. So in the oldest rocks, I've made them dark, so they sink back into the background. And the bright colours I've used to bring the recent history of Central Australia. But before I get to the recent history, I have to tell a little bit of the foundation, which are the dark colours. And in the case of the three diagonals, the one in the bottom left, the one diagonally across the middle, and the one in the top right, I've attempted to make them slightly lighter each time to show that the darkest colours and the most squiggly colours are the oldest, then the intermediate, and then the youngest of the basement pavement that underlies the sediments of the inland sea of Central Australia. So this sparkly bit here tells you that the rocks in this area have been buried to a great depth, and the temperature got so hot that it melted and then recrystallized into new crystals. So it's no longer a sediment, it's been recrystallized into solid rock with no pore spaces and just crystals. I'm hoping that if you engage and connect and communicate with the mythology that comes out of this exercise, that you will be more aware of the forces that have gone on to create the soil or the ground that you're walking on, and how important it is to our survival, well-being and origins. I used to lie down on it and roll around, but I have so much trouble getting up now, it's embarrassing.